these ones. But thank you for sparing the time and joining us this evening to have a bit of a discussion. I've had quite a lot of different topic suggestions sent through, although some of them are not things I want to be discussing on these meetings because it might get a bit waylaid. There's no way I'm going to start talking about tax. And some of them were a little bit, the one topic was about slurry separation, which again I think is probably more of an NI issue, obviously, than one we need to maybe discuss on a group which is obviously covering all the 4 different countries. So apologies if, and also there was so many topics we can't possibly cover them all. So I'm going to start off with one topic which, and obviously all of this, anyone, if you want to chip in and say something, then use the raise your hand function or type something in the chat. So someone said, if supermarkets want grass-fed beef, and that's the image they're portraying, but why is so much beef being produced in feedlots or on cereals or using byproducts? I think the easy one to that is every system is different, and if all your systems were exactly the same, I guess it would be a really simple, we'd be able to do a system that would probably be closer to the chicken industry, and which would be Eric's dream, I think, of what he's wanted us to do. But every system is different, and if everybody was grass-fed, that wouldn't suit every system. Has anyone got any comments they want to feed into that question that someone fed in? No? Okay, well, we'll move on to the next one then.
Hang on, go on, Katie. Sorry, I missed the unmute button now. I'll have a go at it. Couple of things, really. In the past, when we mentioned that to them, or the options with things like suckler beef, they've not really wanted to get engaged with it because they didn't feel there was enough supply, and it would be very difficult to. This is the multiples words, not mine. They didn't feel there would be enough supply. They were concerned about how it would be verified and the exact wording in terms of what was in and what was out. And from the farmer's point of view, I think there probably isn't enough purely grass-fed beef out there to meet the requirements. Nearly everybody uses a bit of cereals at some point during the year. Discuss.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mike. Well, and to be fair, with the tight supplies as we've got at the moment, yeah, things are tight. Sam.
Yeah, thank you very much. I agree with Mike, and I'm watching Mike's webinar from last week. He's as sustainable as possibly can get. He's rearing his own cattle, feeding his own hay and silage and straw and meal and protein. So that, to me, is as sustainable as we can get going forward to the supermarket. Totally a grass-fed is probably unheard of. I got into trouble one time for saying that the Wagyu beef from New Zealand was not totally grass-fed, and I got into real bad trouble about saying that on the media. But every system's different. The move to more native breeds and stabilizer breeds require less feeding, but it's never been cheaper than now to feed concentrate, meal, barley, whatever you're feeding, versus the price of silage, versus the price of grass. There's never been a situation where the price of beef is nearly £6 and the price of meat is down about 230, 240 pounds a tonne. So the rate of gain from concentrate is much higher and it's costing much less. So every system's different, and if you have more continental breeding in your herd, you're going to need more. You're going to need more feeding. I totally agree. I have represented the Farmers Union while going to Tesco's and going to all these different supermarkets looking for a suckler bred beef concept, and they're just not interested. And we must remember, and I keep reminding them, that every ounce of beef that's sold to the consumer, to the meat plant, to the export market, it's all sold on the back of a suckler cow. 65% of the beef going through the market is dairy bred now, but it's all sold on the back of a suckler cow to make the greener image.
Okay, thanks, Sam. And that brings us quite nicely onto another question that someone posed, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of comments on this one, is natives versus continental cattle. Has anyone got any comments on, obviously, the different time to finish, different conformations or weights, and then obviously end amount back in your pocket? Has anyone got any thoughts on that? Which again, I think it does sort of, again, fall back to what suits your system, but what are your thoughts on that? Ben?
Yeah, we've seen quite a big change. I know we've discussed previously. We've gone from 3/4 cross Charolais cows, put back to the Charolais bull, and moved away from that just with changing market demands, one thing or another. And we've actually gone from 56 of cows of that breeding to 80, which are predominantly either Angus or Hereford out of a Frisian cow, put to Blue Cross Limmy bulls. In doing so, we're producing more kilos per acre or per hectare of what we were doing. We're seeing more live animals on the ground. We're finishing sooner than what we were doing. We aren't using as much concentrate as what we were doing. And yeah, they're just the management carving's easier. We've seen a big shift both financially, animal welfare, production. Yeah, very positive.
Okay, thanks, Ben. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else got any thoughts? I can't actually remember who gave the question in. I didn't jot all that down next to where I put them. Anybody else got any thoughts on? I know everyone has their sort of general breeds that they focus on. Ian?
Yeah, we get on very well actually with a continental cross native cow. That we use a Simmental cross native cow, and we get on with that really well. So and we put them back to the Simmental, so we end up with a 3/4 continental calf, if you like, because it just suits us not to have an all continental cow or an all native cow, if you like. Yeah, so I think the main reason we did it was to perhaps try and get a bit of size off the cows and make them a bit more efficient. We'll probably get in a bit, not purebred, but not just crossbred enough. I
mean, were you losing the hybrid vigor there as well when the?
Yeah, we saw. Yes, we weren't missing the hybrid vigor, but I think we started out years ago with Hereford cross dairies, and I think as we moved sort of further away from that, we were getting perhaps better cattle, but perhaps a little bit less milk.
What's your definition of better cattle?
Better cattle. Well, as we moved away from the dairy, probably a bit shapier, perhaps, which it doesn't matter so much now, but it did then, you know, I'm talking 25, 30 years ago. And same say, I think we got more milk, but yeah, we had more milk, but the cows weren't necessarily as easy to get back in calf. You know, milk's fine if you're prepared to feed a load of snap for it. Otherwise, you know, you can have too much milk. I suppose at grass we'd got cows that were producing more milk than the calf could deal with. So to a certain extent, it suited us to come away from the dairy. But then we probably got to a stage where we were too continental, if you like, and just putting the native back in there. So what we sort of aim for is for a 50-50 continental cow put back to a continental bull, and that is the ideal calf for us, for our system. But Yeah, I suppose we tend to think the dairy cross things weren't just as fertile, and as we got nearer and nearer to being more continental, the cows weren't just as fertile as where we are now. And I mean, we AI everything, and we carve in a 9-week block, but we'd probably have a little lower culling rate due to fertility now than what we had 3 or 4 years ago. So,
Okay.
so for us, it's a mix, to be honest. Not too far one way or the other.
Okay. And has your there's a question, Ben, saying, has your carcass weight changed from the changes that you've made?
Yeah, so the carcass weight's come down a little bit, but I think really it is, as he suggested, it is more important to focus on amount of beef produced per hectare, and so really, to clarify what I'm talking about, we only use maternal genetics, and we found since we did that the amount of life, the mortality rate has reduced, fertility's gone up, and we are producing more beef per hectare. We find it very difficult to justify terminal genetics, and we're intensively fattening bulls, and then we're selling the heifers. We sell the heifers, the crossbred heifers, as breeders, the ones that we don't want for ourselves. Well, we mainly sell them as recipients. So it suits us to use all maternal. That's why we use all maternal genetics. So we've got plenty of heifers that we can choose from and sell. But a spin-off to that has been that conception rate's gone up and mortality's gone down because the calves are a bit smaller, they're a bit less shapy, the cows are calving easy, and they're getting back in calf quicker. So yeah, you look at the calves, you look in the fatty yard, and you think, well, they're not what they were, but they are growing just as fast, and we are producing, more beef per hectare. So it's yeah, terminal genetics just don't interest me at all. And we used to use blues on the simi cows, and we had some lovely calves about, lovely cattle about. We just about everything coming out of the beef yard we use, but we were spending a lot of time making sure calves were getting up and suckling, and cows, having to calve the odd cows, and most of that's gone out of the window now. So
Yeah,
they're just a lot easier to manage. But on the other side, I wouldn't want to be really any more than 50-50 native on the cow. But that's, we're a lowland farm, and we grow maize, we grow and feed maize along with silage, and if we get too much native in there, then the cows do just get a bit too fat. We've got to just be careful of that. So that suits us rather than having all continental or all. I think, to be honest, are the cows any quieter? No, I think that's down to no. I don't think they're any quieter because the Simmentals are pretty much of a quiet breed anyway. But occasionally we can use we can use a bull that seems to throw up a lot of not so quiet offspring, and that's all right. We just don't carry on using him. We just don't buy any more semen from that bull, and that tends to be more not really breed specific in the breeds that we're using. So we've had the odd Hereford bull that's thrown out calves that aren't just as quiet as we like, just as that might be, a continental bull. So.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Ben, has your carcass weight changed at all with the changes that you've made?
Carcass weight has changed, but so has, or did at the time, the processor's demands. Before it was weight, pace, Charolais, big, better, all the rest of it. We're now working towards what 670, 680 live weight tends to be our weight where we target, maximum output before you tear over the edge of overweight. Yeah, but I'd say it's adjusted with the trend, but then also finishing sooner. We aren't having to feed them for as long. Big Charolais frame, grow it, clad it, yeah, isn't it great? But when you've got an extra, 9, 12, no, maybe 8, 9 weeks extra to get to the same point, what we're seeing now with the Blue Cross limb put to the, say, Hereford or Angus out of the Holstein. Yeah, it's working quite nicely. We're 4 years into change now, and yeah, very happy so far.
Yeah, that's quite a long length of period to cost out per day of them being on farm a lot longer, isn't it?
It is, and it's expensive feeding at that stage too. The younger they are, more efficient you would like to think. FCR is a bit better, but yeah, you're into the ever so many pounds per day at that stage, and yeah, it soon takes a chunk off. And yeah, we've seen the weight come back a bit, but then if they're going sooner, it's more in your pocket, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not always chasing that end value. It's actually working out how much does it cost you to get to that point as well. Ian.
Yeah, so I mean, I mentioned our carcass weight should come down, but we don't. And they have with us using a bit of native, but we don't sort of keep any of the bulls beyond 14 months. In fact, most of them have gone to 12, just over 12 months, mainly because we need the yards to winter the cows. But I think in any case, we really don't keep anything above 13.5 months, regardless of weight, because the efficiency does begin to drop off. And we sort of noticed through the diet feeder with the bigger bulls, you sort of work out if you work out your average feed and your average growth rate, and you're probably making a profit on the yard full. But we noticed when we were sort of keeping them till they were bigger weights, we were taking when we took the bigger cattle out of the yard, we noticed on the diet feeder the day after how much food had dropped. And those bigger cattle, actually, they weren't actually making money. They were eating too much food. On the average, it looked like they were, because they were growing at the same rate as the rest of the yard. But in actual fact, as they got older, they were eating more food to stay at that same growth rate as the rest of them. So now we tend to go on age sort of 13.5 months, and they're away regardless of what weight they are. And the native helps with that a little bit, because 99% of the time we've got enough fat condition on. That's another reason we wanted a bit of native in there, because we were having to use too much corn with a lot of continental in there to get that fat cover on the bulls. So it was just a comment on the carcass weight versus time taken to do it. Really, we tend to put time first.
Yeah. Okay. Mike. Oh, you're on mute, Mike.
Right. Very quick
Okay.
one. Yeah, I totally agree. Thanks for those nice comments before, Sam. Much appreciated. I totally agree as well. The fact that the natives will make it easier fleshing, and it's one thing that we found. Ian was saying about his cows getting too fat. Well, that's always a nice problem to have on a diet, so you can make the diet cheaper, really. And that's why I've really gone back to more native in the cow. So I think the question was, is it natives or continentals? Both. Stick your natives in your cows, so you've got a really cheap to keep cow. So a South Devon Cross Angus cow, you can feed it on straw pretty much all winter, which is where your expense is with your cow. And then stick a continental on to get your carcass quality. If you want growth rates from your Charolais, if you want shape from your blues like Ben. So I would suggest they're both there, but to do different jobs for you.
Yeah, and there's no one right answer, as we sort of alluded to in all these discussions. What will suit you, Mike, won't suit Sam or Ben or Ian, and all vice versa. So it really is everyone needing to work out what works right on their farms. James. Just don't get,
no,
that's it,
just
you're
you're-
unmuted now.
Is that working now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. Now you're on carcass weights there with Continental. I'm a very low input farm here. We're organic, so it's maybe, different to most of the farms here. But we're on Shorthorn cross cow, Shorthorn Simmental cross, and was using Continental bull onto that for ABP. And now this past few years, I went to again crossing the Shorthorn again or onto an Aberdeen Angus because our carcass weights were too heavy to get finish the steers. So we're into 440, 460 kilos, or else you're just taking a 2 grade. So going for the more native breed has, yes, improved fertility, improved the number of living cows in the ground, but also brought our weights into a more acceptable level for ABP.
Okay, thanks for sharing that, James. Yeah, I think it's and the reason the carcass weights are what they are is because a lot of our customers will be the supermarkets, and everything needs to fit in certain size packs to be the right affordability for everyone to purchase and buy. Because obviously, if you have too big of primals to then get the steaks or joints or any of that, you end up having to cut things one way and then the other, and then everything doesn't look as attractive to then get what you need. And that's why there's obviously weights and limits and all the rest of it on the stock. So we'll move on to the next element of what someone suggested we talk about, and this one could again have lots of different thoughts of what it is. So what is regenerative farming and what does it mean to you? So obviously, what are you doing on your farm? What do those words mean? And what do you think it sort of means to sort of people, I suppose, looking in at farms, especially with I guess the public seeing farmers protesting around the tax issues, etc. And there's also the stories in the news about cows and and sheep, and they're all obviously the evil other than people not thinking about everything else that causes global warming, etc. But how do other people view it, and how do you think what we need to do or what the industry needs to do to make things look, or how do you see it? James, I think your hand was up from before, so Ben.
I see it as, from someone quite young in the industry, something that's been done for years. Mixed farming. Everyone talks about production output, one thing or another. It's going back to, your mixed farm, your livestock. You have your muck, you put it back on the land, you improve fertility, you improve soil structure. It's all cyclical. It comes across as, from my point of view, it's nothing new. And any new techniques, technology, methods, anything or another, it's all been there before. And it's very much a case of it's just doing the rounds again. But I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel whatsoever. No one's out there to destroy the environment, the environment, the wildlife, the habitats, one thing or another. We're all doing it in such a way that we're running businesses. We need to be productive. We need to be efficient. But at the same time, we need to look after what we've got for now as well as the future. But I can't see in terms of a great deal changing other than just going back to how it once was.
Okay, thanks, Ben. Has anyone else got any thoughts?
I think fully agree with Ben. They're not going to invent anything new. We're going, in some advisors, backwards, and some advisors say we're going forwards. But what's interesting, when you do the financials, after using a low input regenerative system, my accountant says we're still as competitive as any other farm, and in some sectors more competitive. So going high input and factory farm style isn't always the answer for your bank account.
Yeah, no. Well, again, it's working out what you've got, what have you got available to you, and actually then what is, and also not just with resources, but the time as well. Because I know quite a few of you don't work on farm full time. You might be doing other jobs off farm, so it's also trying to make sure you can do all those other things as well as run your farms as well. Mike.
Yeah, we're obviously been regen here for, well, before it was regen really, on the arable side of things. Totally agree what Ben just said in terms of mixed farm, rotations, FYM, grass, etc. The sort of definition of well, regenerative farming really, it's really come from the arable sector in terms of they're trying to regenerate their soils because their soils are absolutely politely buggered. Down in Cambridge not so long ago, and we were sort of looking at soils on a particular farm down there, well-known farmer who probably doesn't want to be named, and we dug holes all day, and I think we found 3 worms all day, and it was like, oh, we've got a worm. You know, it was like it was just unreal, unbelievable. Their crops were failing, their cover crops were failing. They're putting more diesel, more steel into it. So regen farming is that regeneration of the soil. We're all already doing it, or we've all got soils that don't need regenning anyway because we've got grass in it, we've got animals on it, and we've got a mixed farm in a lot of cases. I think the regen really is the sort of the 5 sort of key points of it are probably what Gabe Brown talks about in terms of, you know, livestock on the unit somewhere, or FYM, keeping ground cover, you know, what he calls what's he call it? It'll come back to me in a minute. The living root in the ground at all times, no till. What they're trying to do is really give the soil time to regenerate itself. Soil armors is what he talks about, and in their case, that keeps the temperature down during the summer and insulates it during the winter. But it has the same effect to us over here. So I think regen's very much come from the arable side of things, and really it's that they've got a lot to learn from what we've all been doing for years and years.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Sean has put a comment in terms of made up by the supermarkets and other retailers to try to appear to the general public, and that they are doing amazing things for the environment. It's what farmers have already been doing. Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, it is. I know you guys obviously are doing all of this stuff, but it's just making sure that, because you guys that are listening in are the ones that are actually looking at your farms and wanting to make some changes and move things forward. Not saying that every farm isn't, but there is not everybody is as forward thinking and wanting to change things as you guys are. That's for sure. Has anybody else got any more thoughts on that? And sort of linking, well, it's not really, I suppose, linked necessarily with that, but the person that asked that question also said that the numbers of cattle are declining, and how can we stop the numbers of cattle declining? Has anyone got any thoughts on that side of things? Or do you not think the cattle numbers are declining? Gary?
Well, it doesn't help in Wales. With all the Wales in NVZ now, and they're pretty keen on your slurry, your muck, your silage, etc. And in the more upland areas, you know, large capital investment required. People deciding what they like the cows break, you know, they do leave a small margin. They can't justify it. Well, it's just easier. Get rid of the cows, and keep a few more sheep. So, you know, it's political as well as some of the other things we've touched on tonight.
Yeah, some of the rules and regs imposed on us. And the other one of how do we encourage more people into the industry? So I'll bring you in a minute, Sam. How do we encourage more people into the industry, whether it's stockmen or women, to help when you need the help on farm as well? Sam.
Just come back into what Dewey said. Northern Ireland's an NVZ zone. We've got no planning for any farm buildings. You can't get planning for any farm buildings, no matter to improve yourself. We've got nitrates regulations. We are stuffed over here. There are a vast amount of TB, as you do in Wales as well, in parts of England. So that's why the numbers are creeping down. Also, cattle are becoming more efficient. You know, just what Ian was saying, bulls at 13.5 months, like we're in the bull game too, you know, and your bulls don't have to be there for 24 months. So people have been more efficient with their cattle production. So hence there's less cattle on the ground. In a way, it's good for us as beef farmers that the numbers are tight. You know, beef price hasn't been as good ever, I don't think. So it's not a bad place to be in. Next point about how do you encourage young people into the industry? Very difficult into the beef and sheep game to encourage anybody into it. There's lots of the jobs and advisory and all that type of stuff, but not actually working on farm. The only guys and girls at home on farm in Northern Ireland are dairy farmers, sons and daughters, with 400 and 500 cows. They're the only ones coming home. There are very, very few young male or female beef and sheep families coming home to farm. It's just not the turnover, the amount of money every month. It's just very, very difficult in Northern Ireland anyhow. The farm units are smaller. We're facing a very difficult time, I think. And again, with the inheritance tax coming on, we weren't going to mention that, but you know that if that happens, that'll totally devastate the farming right across the country. Sorry about the bad tone of the whole comment, but that's what I think anyhow.
Yeah, so and is that because a lot of the farms are small, there isn't enough income for two people to be getting out, and that's why sons or daughters aren't coming home?
Well, Katie, you can get a good job anywhere, 30, 40, 50,000, and all the young farmers see their friends out on these jobs, and why would they work at home for a pittance? And it's not easy work. You know, the government seem to think everything's going to be done by AI, artificial intelligence, and you know, working from home on computers and all that. You know, we've just seen here last week the electric's still off to 55,000 homes in Northern Ireland, and the only concern of my neighbour who rents a house with me was, have you got internet? And when is the electric come back on again? That was his only concern. So you know, it's completely different. Right across, the consumer have disjointed themselves from food production. They seem to still think it comes from Tesco, and Tesco gets it from somewhere, or Asda, they get it from somewhere, not from the farms in the UK. And I think that we can do a big job service if we can connect with our consumer, to where their food comes from, and the green credentials that we do have with our food, the traceability we have with our food, the food miles we have, and the animal welfare. The animal welfare is probably the biggest. It's probably the biggest thing that we can connect with to consumers. And I think that's the major trick that we should have, and we do have up our sleeve, but we haven't really used it to its benefit yet. But time is short. But young people may come back to the farm when they're in their 50s, but not in their 20s.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Ian?
Yeah, I think sort of getting people to work on farms in general, I suppose what's happening with the vet industry around us is a bit of an example. I mean, at one time, if you wanted to be a vet, you were expected to work long hours and to be on call at night, whereas now they have a choice. They can go to the sort of big cat and dog vets, work a 9 till 5 and not do any on call. And I think that is one of the problems in farming. It's how do we get the work-life balance into an acceptable area where people will want to work those hours. Yeah, people that are born on farms take that for granted, but if you know people that are from other backgrounds, they've got plenty of choice of 9 till 5 jobs or 8-hour jobs with breaks and high wages. And I think that's probably one of the difficulties we've got is sort of trying to get farms so you're not sort of chained to them. And I think some farms are trying to do this. They're trying to give, you know, work with shorter shifts with staff and use robots and stuff like that. But I think that's the main. You'll always get some kids that really want to farm and they'll do anything. But to get a choice of staff and get the public wanting to work on farms, I think that's the big issue. They don't want those long hours. They've got a choice of being able to do all the jobs with shorter hours and better pay, I suppose. So yeah, it was just that comment really.
Okay, thank you. I've got a couple of little polls that I wanted to just ask, and I guess I probably should have put something else in there for the one question, but I might just ask those that are I'll get to that bit. But right, I'm going to launch this one poll. So it's basically just asking, and just obviously I don't expect you to maybe type in everything, but what are the key things that you record and use that data for on farm? So just critical bits of information for you to help you make decisions for your business, and it'll just create me a nice big word poll, hopefully. You might have far too many things that you think you want to pop in there. Hopefully that's appeared on your screens. I know it comes up differently on whether you're on a phone or and I know there's at least one of you probably is in the lambing shed, so apologies if this doesn't come up on your phone, but I just thought it'd be interesting to get some a few thoughts on that. I only had one response of cattle weights.
It's in the chat, Katie. Nothing's popped up separately for me. I'm on the web app. It's fine. It's there, but it's nothing spontaneous.
It's doing weird things. Okay, don't worry. We'll I'll go back to I'll click off it and then I can always put those in. But no, thank you for typing in the chat if it didn't launch properly. As I say, these oh, they've all come in now, I think. They always come in different sort of ways. And then the other question that I wanted to just ask, and we might send out something separately to you all, and I know we may have sent something previously, but was how you actually record your medicines and whether you use paper notebooks, farm software, or an app, or both. How do you tend to record it? Okay, and then the next one might be, and the reason you might not have heard of it because I'm not sure if it actually if it's been launched in NI. So if it hasn't, then don't. It doesn't matter so much. I might skew my results for this. But basically, have you heard of Medicine Hub, which HDB have been created and promoting that, trying to get basically more and more data into Medicine Hub so we can have like a really good baseline of where we are within the industry. And the reason I ask that is just so we can try and work and try and improve that. If well, that's good. We've at least 57% of people have heard of Medicine Hub, and actually you guys, I don't know, it's got to about half and half on paper and software. So on the paper and software, those that use a paper notebook, I guess to get to if people are using an app or a program, it's really easy if the data can be saved in a CSV file to be transferred into the Medicine Hub. But obviously, if it's a paper notebook, that's a little harder to transfer. It needs to be typed in up and typed into something. If you use a notebook, would you be interested in putting it into Medicine Hub, or is it that you're probably thinking, why do I want to spend more time putting it into somewhere else? Or what are your thoughts on that? Anybody? Emily?
Sorry, can I just clarify? Do you mean about individual animal level treatments or purchases?
We're just trying to they're trying to get obviously more and more people and baseline usage overall data within Medicine Hub, and it's just, I guess it needs to be all of the data for the farms rather than just I suppose just the purchases would be one thing, but then how much of that has actually been completely used, and that would also give you false information if it was just how much you purchased, but actually did you use it all and how was that used?
Yeah.
And I guess you've got other thoughts on that, Emily, as being a vet.
Just the purchase stuff. Our practice is uploading that on behalf of our clients, where the clients give consent, just for ease. Just because I know the software that I use for Beef and Sheep at Home, last time I checked, it wasn't easy to upload that to Medicine Hub, but that very much might have changed. But going back to my original question, I'm not putting individual animal stuff up. I'm just putting bottles per species, but I didn't know if that had changed.
Yeah, no, well, I think from the veterinary side of things, obviously, if you guys are doing that, then that's at least, and I know Fiona Lovett's been trying to work with practices to help encourage practices to upload stuff as well. So that's great. And I don't know from the HDB side and others of what their end goal is, but obviously it's just trying to get a better baseline so we sort of know where we're starting from, really, a bit more, because there isn't a vast amount of data being put into there at the moment. And obviously it's a tool that's been produced using DEFRA money that's supposed to be, and it's actually mandatory, I think, come into EU for them to all be inputting the data, unless I've come across that wrongly, but I think that's the pressures come that side. It's so whether it'll come down to us in the future, I don't know. Sam, is yours an old hand?
No, it's not. We use software called HerdLink, so we can individually put every animal in, and it'll mark up its withdrawal days, so you couldn't permit it out. It also gives you megs per kilo at the end of the year, so you know how much antibiotics you've used over the animals you have. We're not linked to the hub yet, but as being part of Europe, we're part of Europe and part of the UK, we no doubt will have to do that of some sort of thing. But yeah, we record the medicines, the amount of medicines, the individual animals. It's recorded. The withdrawal days are held. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Actually, it's quite good. You can use it with an app, or you can just put it in a notebook and then put it on when you go into the house. Yeah, it's quite good. I think that's the most important thing, actually, about all of us producing beef and quality assurance is the drugs. Residues and things have to really be tightened up on. And withdrawal periods is very, very important. So yeah, we've been using software for this for quite a while now, and it makes it much easier when your quality insurance man comes and he says, "Can you show me your animal, your drug usage? How many pages do you want?" I can give you 60 pages if you want, and they don't really look too much further.
I see Rachel said that they found the recent ABP organic survey easy to complete and submit. So maybe if I need to dig a bit deeper and see what information the various retailers are wanting and needing. But maybe if it's simpler and easier, maybe we should just create our own short survey, which can then be transferred across via CSV files that we can transfer across then if we have something on the hub that people can fill in. Would people
Kitty, sorry, Kitty, you're talking about CSV files and all these files. I would reckon, well, half the farmers on here don't even know what a CSV file is, and I'm one of them. You know,
I did say that earlier actually to a colleague that said that they can do that, and I said, first of all, my dad and my brother wouldn't even know how to turn the computer on, not alone to save the file. So I said it needs to be a simple and easy thing. Because you know, I know how to change a file for that, but yes,
I photographed the box and WhatsApp it to my daughter, who puts it on. So there you go. I can talk the talk, but I can't walk the walk.
No, as with any of these things, time is always short. We all know that the time is short. So unless it's simple and easy, you guys aren't going to do it. It's an extra task. You need it to be simple and easy, otherwise it's not going to be done. So to get that data, we need it to be simple and easy. Emily?
To make it even simpler and easier, I just wondered here how many people had asked their vet whether their vet would be able to do it, because unlike as in upload the purchased antibiotics to the medicine hub on their behalf, because if there's somebody in a practice that's got the tech ability to do it, then you don't even have to engage with it. It links to CTS, so for beef it's even better. You don't have to put individual herd numbers in it. And my understanding was that beef and sheep is not yet like pigs, so it's purchases that are of interest, not cow 238 what she had. So I just encourage you to chat to your vets about it, just because it might save you a heck of a lot of work, and it might be quite easy for them to do. And just going back to sorry, I've got a new baby that's making a lot of noise. Just going back to the comment about if you have a mixed farm, how do you know what's gone where? Quite a lot our practice, and I think quite a lot of others now, will ask that when you ring up to order medicines, to allocate them to your beef account or your sheep account. And it'll be crude because sure, a bottle will move in one direction quickly, but you know, it won't be far out. So I don't know, I'm just for ease, I just wondered how many people had challenged their vets about it, because there might be something happening there that'll save you a job.
Okay, thanks Emily, and congratulations on your new little one. And well done for joining with a newborn. I congratulate you.
So there's nothing on the telly. It's better to be here.
No worries, thank you. Ian?
Yeah, just to comment with Emily there. Actually, our vets asked me to do it. They asked me to go on Medicine Hub. That's how I found out about it, really. So they could, they could download the information straight onto Medicine Hub for me. So it might be something that actually the vets are quite interested in doing. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
Okay. No, thank you. The other Emily.
Hi, Katie. Yeah, it's Neil speaking. Yeah, on his laptop, on the wife's laptop.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, Emily, my wife, is a farm vet. Got their own March's veterinary practice. So they use Vet in Press. So they can get all your medicine purchases from the vets only, obviously, not from other merchants, and then they can put that straight into Medicine Hub. So they do that for their farmers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's one that we need to look at and try and work and encourage the farmers, I guess, to be doing that more, because obviously every vet's practice is different and everyone's not maybe as proactive as Emily and your other half vet's practice that's offering to do that for them. Because it's all, I guess it all helps on the image of what we're all trying to do, which is have the healthy stock and be producing the best protein that there is around. So, and thank you for answering those questions for me. So the last question that I think we'll just have a discussion on is, what is a realistic PD target and weaning rate? And this will then take us quite nicely into next week. We've got a meeting with David Kenny from Chugus, talking about leveraging AI and sex semen in beef herds. So apologies, actually, probably because most of these questions tonight have all been sort of beefified and not so much on the sheep side, for those that have got sheep that are with us tonight. But who would like to start the conversation on that one? Anyone want to give a stab at what's the realistic PD target? Or what's your target? Not what's the I have got I did look up before tonight what AHDB say that the targets should be. Tell you what, let's bring those up. I'll show you those, and then you can comment and pull apart what those targets are. So I suppose it's not really PD rate, but it's calves born alive on the key performance indicators on AHDB, and that's, so it's still saying room to improve if you're 85 to 95. Obviously there is room to improve, but and review your performance if you're below 85. So I'll stop sharing that now. And then weaning rate, so here this is sort of 84 to 94% weaned. It's not changing too much. So Ben, oh, you need to unmute yourself, Ben.
Sorry.
There we go.
I can only speak on behalf of ourselves, but the last 3 years we've had, we up cow numbers from 56 to 80 with change of breeding, as we said previously. And the last 3 years we've had no more than 6 cows empty. That was 3 years ago. Last year was 4, and this year there was only 3. And I would say, it sounds brilliant. 95% sounds exceptional, but awful lot of variables. You only need a mega dry summer, feed provision, one thing or another, animal health, nutrition, big believers in boluses and specifically targeting the right mineral. So what we found the cows are short of, we have our own bespoke now and can only speak highly of that, which is, we like thinks led to an increase in PD rate. And then weaning, I'd say same again, really. Just a lot can change, but I would say the AHDB targets aren't too far wrong, really.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Anyone else got any comments or thoughts of where they are and or where they are now, where they'd like to get to? Sam.
Yeah, we had a cracking year this year. 3 empties out of 120. Turned out 101% calves to the field. Lost 3 calves during the summertime. Everyone else was weaned. Fantastic year. No calving. 2 calves coming back was needed assistance. No other assisted calvings. So we had a cracking year. So high 90s. I think you need to be in the high 90s, otherwise you're wasting your time.
Okay, thank you. And I guess that all hinders on your profits as well if you're getting below the 90%. And I'm guessing, Ben, those cows went that weren't in calf?
Yes, there was 2 which we found. One of them was over 10. I mean, like, she had a good run. Weaned a calf calved and weaned a calf every year, so couldn't really fault that. And then another one, we found that she had something wrong with her uterus internally, so it was a good thing that she did go early.
Yeah.
It's selecting on both fronts, really. You want the good genetics, you want some good stock coming through, but you can't afford to carry passengers.
No, exactly. Yeah. Mike.
Yeah, interesting there, Sam. If you've only got 3 out of 120, your cows are going to live to about 40 years old, some of the best of them, at that sort of replacement rate. So unless your herd's getting bigger every year, are you selecting cows not to put to the bull because of age or anything else?
You're right, Mike. We pulled out 20 odd cows this year, didn't put them to the bull, fed them, sold them at Christmas. Should have held on to now, but sold them at Christmas, and brought 20 heifers in.
Right.
So that we're picking the ones that are bad feet, the ones with temperament problems, the ones with poor calves. We're trying to improve that way and just new genetics every year. Just, do better. That's our problem now. It's getting culls, because we haven't got many culls now. We just have to be very picky now.
I guess it's a nice problem to have.
Yeah, well, I suppose I could start selling heifers. I haven't really sold heifers in a while. I suppose I could start selling heifers. We have moved from a pure Limousin herd to an Angus stabilizer Hereford herd. So we have a lot of black baldy cows about now, and we have the calving ease is unbelievable. Docility is the big is not the big problem. Is the big plus. Is the big plus. Docility is it's a pleasure to work with them, But yeah, we have to earmark cows that have a bad calf a couple of times, or cows that don't need their feet done, or cows that are not holding flesh, or their calves aren't fleshing up quick enough. And then we put no bull to them, feed them well, wean the calves early, and get them fattened up and away they go.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sam. There is just a comment in the chat from Emily saying that signing up to Medicine Hub is apparently a recommendation for Red Tractor, and doing so will probably get you a gold star for your audit. So there's one if you want a gold star, or if you've got a Red Tractor inspection coming up. Ian, we'll get you to do hopefully.
Yeah,
comment.
Yeah, it's more a comment on the culling side, really. I tend to think it's important not to focus on having too low a culling rate. I think really you want to be around that 20% mark, so that you're not holding inefficient cows. I think sort of trying to make a cow last forever, it's a false economy. And I tend to see replacements as an investment rather than a cost. Because it's important to get rid of them cows that aren't doing the job, not keeping them just because they're in calf. To be honest, that's my sort of views on that one. And then you sort of your conception and your weaning rates tend to benefit from that.
Yeah, and I guess that all links back to keeping the records and keeping the data to be able to know which ones cause you either not necessarily problems, but just if you're needing to be really picky on the animals, you need to know which ones you had to either help the calf get up and suckle, because and all these other little things that you might not remember when it comes round to 6 or 8 months time after. Sam, there's a question in the chat. Sorry, there's another one just come up, so I can't read that one now. Does Sam find he is selling more or less kilograms per hectare since your change of breed? You're not unmuted, Sam.
Yeah, I've got it now. Kilos per hectare, it hasn't really changed that much. But what has changed is the amount of concentrates fed. We used to creep calves. We don't creep calves anymore. The heifers that we're killing now haven't seen meal at all until 1st of November. So we're feeding less. Although I said earlier on, meal was cheap compared to the price of beef. We're feeding a whole lot less, and the carcass weight per hectare is much the same.
Sorry, Sam, I see you were just obviously typing your response to it as I ask you the question.
Yeah. Carcass bulls are average, 400 kilos, 385 to 400 kilos bull weight. Heifers would be lighter this year, sort of 310 to 320 kilos. But it's all down to the bottom line.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Mike, have you got another comment?
Yeah, I think at the moment it's false economy to keep cows. If they're not doing a job for you, be really harsh on them. Bring heifers in. Cull cow price over here this week is 485, which is 579 for you guys in euros. So I can buy a heifer in for less than the price of a cow going out. So why not? Why not? Improve your herd as fast as possible, bringing new genetics in. As Sam says, get rid of your problem cows, get rid of your lame, your big udders, the ones that calve aren't so easy calving. I've got a bit of an attitude problem. Make the job as easy as you can, as quickly as possible. Like I said last week, 10% of my cows probably take 90% of my time. So get rid of those 10% and either make your life a bit easier or keep some more cows, which the wife doesn't like that idea at all.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think Dale's commented euros, thinking NI, they're still in pounds there, Mike. So you're muted, Mike.
Yes. What? Sorry. Oh, just popped up now. Yeah, Sam, you're in euros or are you in pounds?
No, we're in pounds still.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking about Southern Ireland. Sorry. Yeah, of course.
That's not quite 485 here yet, but not far off.
Yeah, and then 605 for clean this week.
Oh, we're not there. Well, I asked them this morning £6 and didn't get it. So yeah,
you'll get there soon, Sam.
Yeah, I'll hold on another week.
That probably brings on to another question, which luckily we've run out of time to ask, of why there's a price difference around the countries or in different countries. But as it's after 8 o'clock, we'll wrap it up and we'll leave that one till another day, because I'm not sure I would be able to answer any of the queries onto why there is difference in different countries. I guess supply and demand, but that's not my speciality. So
the answer we get is that it takes certain amounts pence per kilo to get it to the market, which is in England and supermarkets over there, not here. That's what we are led to believe. Not totally convinced, but we're led to believe that.
I have a clue, and I'm not going to get into that one. But no, thank you everybody for joining us this evening, and thanks to everyone that's joined in with comments and queries and questions and putting things forward beforehand. I hope you have a good rest of your week. Those that are in NI, if you hopefully you have got electric as you're actually on the call this evening, but if you've had much damage, hopefully it's an easy fix and not you haven't had too much damage from those horrible storms last week. But thanks for joining, and hopefully we'll see you again next week for AI and sex semen meeting with David Kenny. Thanks, guys. See you again soon.
Thank you.